Formal letters are a very important part of everyday life. There are many times when it is appropriate to write a formal letter. For example, when you are applying for a job, making a complaint, or requesting information.
Well, recently I was on holidays and the accommodation was below standards, so I wrote a formal letter of complaint to the travel company.
Well, anytime I apply for a job, I would write a formal letter really because it creates a good impression.
Recently I had a really bad experience with an airline and my flight was really badly delayed, so I got no refund or anything, and the customer service was really bad, and I felt that was the time when I really needed to write the formal letter.
One of the most important things to remember when writing a formal letter is to plan properly. Formal letters are generally short, 1 page at most, so you don't have to use big words or complicated long-winded sentences. Keep your language simple and to the point. While it is important to be polite, it is also important to not be too familiar. So don't start with, "I hope you are well," or anything like that. And also, don't take shortcuts. Write "I would" instead of "I'd." It is good practice to work separately on a separate piece of paper and work out exactly what you are going to say. Start by writing roughly and gradually expanding on it until you know exactly what you are going to write. It is also good practice to use a pencil and eraser for this. Formal letters are normally arranged into paragraphs. Each paragraph has a purpose. Most letters have 3 or 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph should be short and explain the reason for the letter. For example, your paragraph could start with,
"I wish to complain about the service at your restaurant last night."
or
I wish to inquire about the evening courses you are running in September.
the middle paragraphs usually give the details of the letter. Again, keep it short and to the point. Be logical so that the person reading the letter can easily understand it. For example, if you are complaining about a service, it may read,
"A good friend of mine recommended your restaurant, and so I decided to bring a number of friends."
or if you are inquiring about a course, you could say,
I have an interest in art and would be keen to take part in the class.
the last paragraph should tell the person reading the letter what you want them to do. So with the complaint, you could have something like,
"I would be grateful if you would reply as soon as possible so that this matter can be resolved to everyone's satisfaction."
or with the evening course inquiry,
I would be grateful if you could send me a copy of your prospectus so that I can further read up on the courses on offer.
If you are handwriting the letter, always use either blue or black ink. It is also important to make sure your writing is as neat as you can make it. If you're using unlined notepaper, use lined paper underneath so you can see them through the paper. A lined sheet like this often comes with packets of unlined writing paper. Now that you know how to write a letter, let's take a look at how to structure it. Firstly, your address goes at the top right-hand side of the letter. The address of the person to whom you are writing goes a bit lower than the top of your address on the left-hand side of the page. Date is probably best written long format, 10th of November 2006, and goes below the address at the left side of the page. The salutation goes on the left below the date. If you are writing to a man, you write "Dear Mr", followed by surname. If you are writing to a lady, you write "Dear Ms", followed by her surname. And if you do not know the person, you write "Dear Sir" or "Madam". And now you are ready to write in the text that you've planned carefully, making sure to leave a blank line between each paragraph. When signing off, if you know the person, you put "Yours sincerely". If you don't know the person, you write "Yours faithfully", although this isn't too important. Follow this with a comma and then put your signature here. If your writing is hard to read, you can put a printed version of your signature underneath. So now you are ready to post your letter, but not before you put it in an envelope. Firstly, put the recipient's name and address in large writing in the middle. You usually have 1 piece of information per line. For example, the Mermaid Restaurant, Main Street, Kinsale, County Cork. There are no commas needed after each line, and make sure to write and print so that the postman can easily read it. Put your own name and address in the top left-hand corner in small writing, and put your stamp on the top right corner. And now all you need to do is post your letter.
Well, there's more information about writing formal letters in the free workbook that comes with the series. To get your free workbook, you can free phone the number on your screen, 1800 20 20 65. That's 1800 20 20 65. Or you can visit our website, www.rug.ie. People who go to SIP2 College, Mags, all have jobs, don't they? Or most of them?
Yes, yeah, because they would be trade union representatives normally, yes.
How do they find the extra time for working, for studying?
Well, what we find is, and what normally happens is we run the courses during the day and they get paid time off from their employers to do it. So it isn't a problem for them. It only is a problem if they're doing one of the courses where we're getting formal accreditation, and then they obviously have to put in more time on it. But we normally find that people have a great hunger for getting accreditation, so they're willing to put in the time to do it.
Once they start, I guess.
Exactly, yeah.
Do you find that employers are getting better at giving people more time for learning and courses and all of that?
I would say it's very mixed. I mean, good employers see the benefit of actually releasing people, because in the long run it is in their interest as well as ours.
Of course
for
it
people
is,
to know their rights and to know their responsibilities as well. But unfortunately, we're finding that there are a number of employers who are less likely to do that.
Marlene, you look after friends' small children as well, don't you?
Yes.
How old are they?
A year and a half and 4.
God, that's a lot of work now, isn't
It
it?
is. It's fun.
How do you find time for your studies then?
Well, I'd study in the morning. I'd wake about 6 and then I do my reading or whatever I have to do, and I get up then about 10 to 8.
Right.
And in the afternoon then I'd read to the kids or that.
Yeah.
Get some of their books and read through it. And I mean, you learn so much during the day anyway from children.
Well, we're all so busy though, it can be hard to find the time for learning, and yet it is key that we do, or we just don't make the amount of progress that we should. Take a look at this and see why making time for learning is so important.
All over Ireland, students go to adult learning centres to improve their reading and writing on schemes like WordAid in Kilkenny, where Marion Dermody is a tutor.
So, how did the fortnight go with a bit of practice?
WordAid has been in operation in Kilkenny for over 20 years now, and it caters for people with literacy difficulties, and that encompasses reading, writing, numeracy. With adults, a lot of people work full-time, part-time, care for families, so this is one part of their life that they would like to address, so they try and incorporate that into their lifestyle.
One of those busy students is Marlene Furlong, who squeezes in looking after a friend's children on top of everything else.
A monkey. What was he? The first time I went to WordAid, it was like I took 3 steps there and 5 back. I made a few attempts to go, and at the end of the day I got the courage to go. I met up with Marion, my tutor, and from there I've never looked back.
And Marlene, sure we're
When a student comes in, they want one-to-one. After 18 months, if they are happy with their progression, the offer is made to them if they would like to join a group.
All of us these days lead busy lives, and it can be difficult to make time for learning.
I find for me to study is the best time in the morning. You know, I'd wake early and I'd study for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and I try to fit in a bit in the afternoon. I'd be only reading or word search or something.
It's not easy to have time, and when you have a family, you know, there's always demands and things like that.
So you're busy, John, to say the
terrible.
least.
I get about an hour a day if I'm lucky with the 3 children.
You can well imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
Plenty of activity.
Oh, plenty of that, all right.
It can be difficult for an adult to learn in their home environment, so they might have to find a separate place. It could be a neighbour, relation, whatever, that they might have to go to do their own bit of learning.
If it's nice, like nice bright day, I'd sit out in the dining room and I'd work away there, do something, maybe write a few notes or something like that.
It is better if they practice regularly what they have covered, preferably daily, or every alternative day. Short lessons often, because some of the students are not used to learning in bulks or in binges.
They could break it down, you know, for a half an hour here and then pick it up again another half hour. You know, even if you're only sitting down having a cup of tea, if you have your bit of work beside you, keep going.
Every little bit adds up, and then they'll get more confident, and their learning style will become more accustomed as well to taking in that information.
If you make time for learning, you can look forward to enjoying the rewards.
To me, reading is the greatest gift of all time. If you have a good book with you, you're never alone. If you can't sleep at night, there's nothing as good as putting your hand under the pillow and getting out your book.
I just give guidelines and suggestions, and it's for the student then to take what they want from that. But I do say that repetition and practice does pay off more readily. But we're here for the student, and it's they drive the course and the lesson, and we just facilitate that.
So we see there, Marlene, making time is very important for studies, but so is enjoying what you're learning, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I love reading.
Yeah. And do you think if you love something like reading, you're then more likely to make time?
Yes, you would.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a great one for watching television, but I love reading. I'd go down to my room about 9:30 and read maybe till 1 or 2.
Great. You must get through a lot of books then.
I do. They're like my best friends. When I'm finished reading a really good book, I'd share it with my friends, but I'd always get it back.
You write your name in it?
Yeah.
Do you find that, Mags, that with your students, that if it's something they enjoy, they're more likely to find the time to study?
Yeah, very much so. What we try and do in the colleges, you know, obviously we're dealing with adults and we treat them like adults, and we try to make learning as interesting and as amusing as possible. And I think that works because, as I say, we get people coming back again and again for more courses.
Fantastic. Well, that's all we have time for today, I'm afraid. We'd like to thank our guests for joining us. To Marlene Furlong, thanks a million, Marlene, and to Mags O'Brien as well. In the next programme, we'll be looking at financial literacy, focusing on borrowing money, understanding dreaded percentages, and having a look at how energy costs are covered in the news. In the meantime, though, here are the contact details again to get your free student workbook that goes with the series.
For your free student pack and workbook, free phone 1800 20 20 65. That's 1800 20 20 65. Or you can go online and visit www.rug.ie or write to The Really Useful Guide to Words and Numbers, care of Nala, 76 Lower Gardner Street, Dublin 1.